Hey, everybody. That's weird. Okay, so my computer, but hey, welcome to a happy July 3rd Sunday edition of Cup of Ray. Out here again, thanks to the fine folks here at Krabby's on the Pass. Love this. I was leaving here last week after last week's show, and a family of five are leaving, three children and mother and father. And I said, I did not know they served breakfast here. And they're like, neither did we. I said, how was it? Because I didn't get a chance because I was doing a show for Father's Day. Or no, for what? And they're like, it was fantastic. And so the thing about it is coming down here, I'm going to do my cell right at the top of the page. First of all, it's a cup of Ray on a Sunday. You know can I ask you guys and girls something? What's so interesting that we all probably have thought of, or maybe you're thinking of, but one of the reasons why water cooler talk and just having general conversations among friends, fans, different social circles, the reason why, and it's so stereotypical, the dads would all in the past, but of course nowadays it's awesome is it's the moms too who are congregating it, and we're taking away from these birthday parties to go to a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid's birthday party, loving it. Parents doing a great job celebrating that. It's always about the children, but then you get into these conversations about the Bucs or the Lightning or the Rays, but generally about the Bucs. And in 2020, it was Tom Brady, and then it's the Super Bowl, and then it's something we've been talking about. We've had a couple of topics this offseason here talking about Tom Brady retire or not retire. I'm not going to go over it all, but one of the things that we saw is that Buccaneer 2022 schedule. And I covered this yesterday on my marathon show there. I don't know what that was all about, but we were having a great time. Alex Schomburg was in there. Ben Cornett was in there. Harry the Greek was in there. I got a special guest coming on today, so I'm going to try to do a little soft shoe at the top, but that's okay. We'll get into this. But just talking about the sports, but we talked about that schedule. And the thing about that schedule that came up first really sticks out. It's so obvious because, it's the first quarter of the season, although it's 17 games, no more 40, 12, 16, but basically starting out week 1 in Dallas, week 2 going into New Orleans, week 3 coming home against the Green Bay Packers, and then week 4 you got Patrick Mahomes. We've known that since the schedule got released, the whole world. Now we can do strength of schedules and parity in the league, and the fact of the matter is on paper with the amount of primetime games, then the home game that's actually an away game there over in Germany against the Seahawks, but the bye week thereafter. So we're looking for all the ways in a season. We're looking for all the different, but I'll tell you what, leave it to Greg Allman of The Athletic. And Greg, I love you. We've had him on the show. Used to write for the St. Petersburg Times, Tampa Bay Times, but now The Athletic. And the reason why I talked about water cooler talk and why it's so interesting and those different types of groups around those birthday parties that we're at is because there's always a different take. We don't have enough time to take the entire team from the secondary through Jake Camarda and Borgales and Suck Up in the kicking game. And everyone's got their own thing. And the thing about that Greg brought up this morning, and I'm talking about that because it's always the angle. I've always said here on Bucs Report, here on Cup of Ray, it's about perspective. Everything in life is about perspective. Young kids that are out there, your mom and dad are sitting at the table, they're watching this, drinking coffee, and the only thing you hear, kids, listen, everything is about perspective. And the perspective is about this 2022 schedule is it's hard. But then on the Athletic this morning, Greg Allman posts the number one toughest matchups the Buccaneers have by position in 2022. I think we already knew Mahomes. We already know about, facing going on. And then I love the fact, I'll go deep on this when I'm giving the bag at the top of the show. One of my favorite things is Tony points out that we go out to San Francisco in week 15 or somewhere like the end of the season, and we face George Kittle. And I don't want to give too much away at the top. I want to throw props out again to Greg Allman of The Athletic for giving me the idea this morning. It's a Cup of Ray here on July 4th. Happy Independence Day. July 4th weekend. I'm down here at Krabby's on the Pass. Come down and join me. And I hope you got some comments. I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, that's all good, but you know what? I love the job Footage Bound Productions did on my opening there. It's getting hot out here. It's July 3rd here at John's Pass, at Krabby's on the Pass here in Madeira Beach, Florida. So we can skip the extra couple of seconds. I wanted to jump right into this. The way it hit me this morning when, again, I read that fantastic, and that's the reason why I love the way Greg Allman breaks it down, his analysis. We have our spots. for you guys and for me, a lot it's Bucks Report, but then we have our ESPN and we get our break. I get mine from the Athletic. We get them from all over. Half the time it's from people that are in our social groups, which even make it better because it instantly generates that conversation that we're trying to have here today. Give me a comment that what you may have had about some of the opponents, some of the positional opponents the Buccaneers face in 2022. But the fact of the matter is, it's always about a different angle. And Greg Allman always hits me with it. He throws a good curveball because I'll always read his stuff and I'll go, yeah, right there. So, Greg, the reason why I'm throwing so much love out to you here at the beginning of at the top of Cup of Ray is because I'm basically going to just read verbatim from your article. I'm kidding you, but the points you make were so phenomenal. I hope you know what I'm going to share them because I also want to share what it means to be able to have you at the Athletic and get some of my information from you. So, let me go ahead and just open. Oh, let me open with a comment first, which I should have done. Did somebody remove that comment? No. What's happening? NFL says, "Say what's up, Raymundo. Sup? Good morning. I hope you guys like the shot here at John's Pass. And if you could hit share, I'm gonna leave the comments up there. But talking about, so again, I talked about the fact that we saw next year's schedule and we break it down and the pluses and the minuses, the home games, how many again nationally televised late games. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I know y'all are thinking the exact same thing. We're never gonna ever be able to get used to having a football game at 9:30 in Germany that when Bucks face the Seahawks that weekend. I propose again down here at Krabby's on the Pass, they start serving breakfast at 8:30. You could come in here, do a little tailgate out in the parking lot, but then you could watch the game there with this beautiful view of going out into the Gulf of Mexico, where you just go over across the bridge and around the way, and they have fireworks there on July 4th. But those 9:30 games kill me. But I'm reading this morning about these positional matchups, and should I start with quarterbacks? I mean, let's do that. The easiest thing might be to start with quarterbacks because we knew. No, actually, you know what? Let's just talk about passing teams in general. I told you guys I was actually gonna plagiarize Mr. Greg Allman of the Athletic. Buccaneers in 2022 face 8 of the top 10 passing teams from 2021, which is like, yeah, we kind of knew we were facing Joe Burrow, and we kind of knew we were going to do Stafford again. And I mean, obviously, and then we look to the South, and we're like, Jameis, Ritter, is it going to be great? Mariota going to rush? Bucks defense, Russian defense in 2021 took a couple of steps back. We faced a couple of really good running backs in 2022. Special teams, I like how Greg Allman always gives special teams straight to the Ravens and John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh. Guy was a special teams coach, done a phenomenal job. That organization just continues to rebuild. But what are they going to do at Lamar Jackson? Yeah, I guess I'm going to get off the Bucks a little bit today, but I'm going to work it back again to the top opponents they work. But Lamar Jackson, right? They find him at number 32. He's a steal. It gives them a couple of years of a very low quarterback salary with the guy who wins 2019 NFL MVP. And now it's time to pay this kid. And he's working as his own agent, if you will, which I think is admirable. I mean, do it, especially you know what you're doing, you know your worth. I think it's hard. I think the Ravens are in that problem where they're trying to explain to him that even though he's phenomenal, and he's going to get a big contract. Let's be silly. I mean, let's not be silly about this, but you rush a lot, you're injured a lot, you come up, we can't mortgage $70 million a year. And we like to build with I'm talking all about the Ravens. But so that's one of the top 10 passing teams we face this year. But one of the ones when we face the Seahawks out there in Germany, of course, Russell Wilson now is with the Denver Broncos. So there's one top 10 passing team. If you, by de facto, you remove Russell Wilson and put him on the Broncos. So that's down to 7 of the top 10 passing teams in 2021. The Buccaneers face in 2022. Hi, Teresa Baxter says, hi, Ray. Happy 4th weekend. Teresa, great job last night. If you can come in here, let me know. Let's see here. Next comment. Luis Rivera says, fire the cannons. I love this part. Those are my really doped up sound effects. Johnny Dean says, boom. Johnny Dean, thanks for coming in here. But Russell Wilson, take him away. But you look at I'm not going to read what I wrote down here because these are some of the comments. This is why I like the stimulation of reading Greg Allman of The Athletic, because then it makes me start having these thoughts. Of course, Cincinnati in week 15, the week before Christmas. And you're like, okay, wow, Joe Burrow, and they got T. Higgins, and they've got that stacked second, and the AFC champions bury the lead. It's week 15. It's the week before Christmas. You're like, you hope you start wondering, are the players going to be having their eyes off the prize? And then you're like, oh my gosh, wow, not really, because they're going to actually be out on the West Coast, or if you will, in Arizona, playing the Cardinals on Christmas, on that Christmas night game, which is going to be great. Share the show, everybody, and give me some comments, which is going to be great. I've said this before. It feels like a little Christmas gift when you get done unwrapping. But you're facing Joe Burrow and the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals and Alex Kappa at guard. talk about a big thing, and I know I'm jumping back to the Bucks here, but yeah, I don't think we've. I think we learned. Okay, Kappa goes and Marpet retires, and then we got Shaq Mason, and the Bucks draft Lou Goedeke over there on the left side. Still have Hainsey. That's your hybrid center, but maybe so you stop. And Buccaneers have shown they sent three offensive linemen to the Pro Bowl in 2021, but two of them are no longer with the team. Of course, Kappa's with the Bengals. There's going to be a lot of drama that weekend, and so you start making sure that the Buccaneers have that run. They're going to have their secondary intact for the run they're going to have, but that's not until week 15. Now, don't forget about. Oh, I keep dropping to the bottom. Rushers that will face rushers. It's a little smaller list, of course, because the Buccaneers defense is usually. I'm sorry, how's the viewing back of me, guys? Got boats going out. Got boat with a nice flag on the back, and I'm trying to make sure I stay center. I'll tell you one of the teams that scares me, but they're also like one of the teams that's in the news right now the most, or number one in the news, and obviously that's because of their free agent pickup, Deshaun Watson. But you talk about facing Nick Chubb in Cleveland, and by the time we get to them, depending on the length of the suspension for Deshaun Watson, which I don't see a full year. I wish I could. Being a father and of daughters, and us that have respect women, and we can look at this and say punishment is necessary. But what I wish I could see, and I'm probably going to get burned for this, but I need to see, even though maybe I don't need to see Deshaun Watson come out and say, I did it. The glove fits, so you should have quit. It didn't fit. I need to see some type of act of contrition back towards these abuse. Look, I'm sorry. Look, Deshaun, you just signed the hugest contract. Great. And then you protected it by getting paid $17 and again, dozen crab legs from famous Jameis's Crab Leg Shack over there in New Orleans. You put it all in the back end, put it in signing bonus. I get it. You're making business decisions. And I'm not saying this forgives what's done, guys and girls, but we're talking about contrition and moving forward, because we're all trying to do move forward. Give a lot of money and some time to some abuse shelters, some sexual assault lines, because here's the thing. First of all, actually, make sure you get that help. You need that help. It once, twice, three times, more than that, it's shady. Once, twice, three times, bad. But get that act of contrition. But talking about that running game and facing the offensive line, the Browns have a strong offensive line, but that running game and Chubb, and then if you got Deshaun Watson back, already going to see those top passers in 2022. We just got to make sure we take that step forward again. I think we do with Shaq Mason and Vita Vea in the middle. Oh, I was working it back to guards. Sorry, when I did that, there was a noise going by here, and it was actually a dolphin. And I should have told you guys about it. And instead, I was trying to keep that thought going, and I forgot where I was going with talking about facing the actually, I forgot where I was going now. The Bucs. So talking about that rush defense in 2022. Kamara in New Orleans. So week 2, I think we all can agree we're not going to be facing Kamara in New Orleans. I mean, can we all agree to that? Is there any more comments here? Oh, here we go. Luis Rivera says, I hope Wirfs comes back stronger from that ankle. Yeah, we saw, here's the thing. Well, he's such a pick. Just arguably one of the best first round draft picks, but you can put him right up there in Buccaneer, not all time. I don't want to get too glossy here on a Sunday. Top 20, but the Bucs bringing the kid has that great. And then we see last year when Tristan hurt hip bracelet or hurts the ankle is out. We saw what that lack of depth on an offensive line meant. You got Tristan Wirfs and you got Donovan Smith. Now you got Shaq Mason, who's got that experience. And God bless, thank you so much that we still keep Jensen at center. But with those two guards, that's going to be probably, I think maybe you guys and girls agree. Tell me in comments here. One of the biggest stories of camp is how those two guards are filling in and keeping, because, that's Tom Brady's, I say bread and butter, I think, but that's where that's where he can get rid of that ball in, 1.2 seconds or quickly, but he needs that setup, that pocket, that bubble, and you're going to depend on those interior, and then of course also the exterior offensive line, and then also the tight ends. But you're going to really rely on those. So the guards are going to be a really big, and that wasn't what we were talking about today, but the guards are going to be a really big story in camp as we get there at the end of July. Talking about that, the Buccaneers, we were only sacked 23. I don't want to say I guess it was Tom Brady. I'm trying to remember if Blaine Gabbert got sacked when he came in for like the one relief he had in 30 seconds in a blowout, but only sacked 23 times in 2021. All right. Even though they led the NFL in passing attempts at 731. So think about that, guys and girls. And again, Greg Allman nailed it. The Buccaneers literally had the most passing attempts in the entire National Football League, but they also had the fewest sacks in the offense. And again, it goes back to Tom Brady and that quick release. We're not like, but it also depends on that line and the job they did. Again, 3 in the Pro Bowl. So that's a big story going into camp, and I love that. Now, you want to talk about something? This is what gets me. I hate that Greg Allman of The Athletic, again, is right on this. Toughest secondary the Buccaneers face in 2022. You can look at we got a few teams, but it's also going to be predicated upon the front seven, which it is with your Buccaneers. But it's got to go to the New Orleans Saints. They still have that, and that's one of the reasons why Brady's thrown 8 sacks in 5 games against New Orleans over the last 3 seasons. I know we all default back to, and I get it. We won the important one. Hell yeah. But it's still 0-4 in the regular season. That secondary. Now now it's starting to get hot. you got that defensive line. You got Dennis Allen taking that team over. Not having Kamara in week 2 is going to be huge. They're probably going to have Kamara the second time they play. Well, I think they will. And I'm sure he's facing at least a 2-game suspension. So and I'm not joyful about that because that Dennis Allen defense is still going to be, that's the thing about the Saints. Not taking anything away from Sean Payton for all those years. Share the show, everybody, because I'm on a roll. I'm actually going to keep it. Not that cat was an offensive mind genius, and of course he lucks into Drew Brees after the Dolphins don't bring him in because he has that labrum issue, and the Chargers let him go. Of course they draft, but end up Drew Brees comes over, and the Chargers did okay, but Drew Brees comes to the New Orleans Saints and has a 19-year Hall of Fame career. All that was good, but the thing that some of the thing Bucs fans, you guys remember the 38-3 game. We remember Tom going in there in COVID. There was like nobody in the stands, and they were piping a noise, and we're like, okay, we got Tom Brady, undefeated. And New Orleans slapped us 0-4 in the last 2 seasons against them in the regular season. And Bucs fan, feel me on this, please, and share the show if I'm right on this thought. Happy 4th of July weekend here on July 5th. All the times you're looking at Kamara and Michael Thomas and Drew Brees and the quick release and the offense, it was that New Orleans Saints defense kicking our ass. Let's be honest. Now the offense got off when they were doing it, but they've always been tough. I hate that Greg points out again this morning. That's one of the toughest secondaries the Bucs will face in 2022. Now this is where I'm going to work it back to tight ends, but let me make sure I covered talking about. Let's talk about the toughest pass rush. Didn't see this one coming. Again, the story was written so much better and with such a better flow of thought by Mr. Greg Allman of The Athletic. If you don't have a subscription to The Athletic, or even if you could just go hustle on and get this free story somehow, I'll share it to you maybe, but it's going to make you want to get that subscription. But talking about the toughest pass rush, and now first thing you're thinking about is those Los Angeles Rams. Still at 4? Oh, we got some comments. I wish I had someone here to work the comments for me. Let me get to these. Johnny Dean says, football, 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 football. Louis Rivera says, I say we're better for who we've added than who we've lost. Well, if you're talking about losing Antonio Brown, the other side was going to come up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm better, but no, I get you, Louis. Let's see. Louis Rivera says, F the Saints. Man, it's like, and that's why, again, thank you guys and girls. Number one show I've ever had actually until Tom Brady's coming back party, but 7,000 views I had that morning. The morning, Tom Brady's already Buccaneer. He's already sneaking into all the houses in West Chase trying to find Leftwich's place, and he ends up sleeping under Leftwich's front door mat, and then he opens the door. I kid you. It was Jameis Winston, the morning that Jameis Winston's camp agreed in principle on the new contract for James, because that's what that was the thing. I mean, and let's be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that door number 2 was Tom Brady, and then we know how that, I hate to get here, but it's July 4th weekend. Happy Independence Day. We know how that turned out. But if it would have been Tom Brady, if it would have been Teddy Bridgewater, or it would have been Bucs trade for Trevor Siemian, or, whatever. And that, in fact, now I think about it, that show wouldn't have had 7,000 views. It would have had 17,000 views. Got my special guest. Take your time, brother, if you're watching this, because I got you. 7,000 views, and that was because Jameis signs with those Saints. In fact, no, again, let me reiterate, agreed in principle on a contract. We didn't even know the particulars. Of course, we know they ended up paying him $32 and 3 loaves of bread a month free, and, I kid you not, but he didn't get a big contract. But you know what? We like it. Guys admit it. Girls admit it. Kid comes out of Florida State number 1 in 2015. You wanted him to be that Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, and he still shows the gifts. But we also saw some chinks in the armor, some cracks, right? He goes against with Sean Payton in our own division, and don't forget, fortunately, the glow from Tom Brady is still really great. But oh my God, if that would have been like, Buccaneers, they traded for Jack Thompson, throwing Samoan, and they gave up a 2022 first-round pick. Johnny Dean, that one's for you. Doing some old school Buccaneer jive here on a Sunday morning. Johnny Dean says, NOLA. It's quarterback room. It is if they've got what's-his-face playing. I'm kidding. Teresa Max says I would, but I just woke up and no caffeine. And Teresa, the reason why I didn't invite you in the first place because you locked it down last night. I'm like, girl got to get some rest. And Luis Rivera says Winston going to show his true colors. Ooh, if that defense, and especially without Kamara in those first few games, right? If that defense can't lock it down, They love that Dennis Allen. He fills in for Sean Payton when he goes into retirement. I mean, when he was in COVID, and that's when they kicked our butt. Did they do it twice? I think 2 years in a row. I know Sean Payton went into the COVID protocol. I don't. I think just 1 year is when we played them while he was out. But let me. I keep putting my phone down. Let me go back to this. Hope I got enough battery. So talking about that tough pass rush. First thing, boy, I worked it back to that one because of my notes. Thank you, iPhone. First thought is you're thinking Aaron Donald, who just re-signs the contract for what he's got. He's making $1.2 billion a year for the next 4 years, probably voidable after 1 or 2, because that cat really does sound like he's kind of near the end. Let's be honest, these cats, they're making that money these days. They got that post-brand hustle going. You got some shekels in the bank. You're the best, one of the best of all time. Hall of Fame career, without a doubt. Aaron Donald's there. I don't think I'm reporting any news here, but they get to the place where it's just like an Ali Marpet, who you just God. One of the reasons why I put Marpet right up there. I don't want to do this to get crazy because I'm going to be talking to a guy here in a few minutes that actually played for the Buccaneers. I don't want to get too crazy with how I'm putting these people, but talk about a Paul Gruber, Jeff Christie, and you're talking about. I'm going through all my Buccaneer offensive linemen about Tony Mayberry. I love Mayberry locking it down because of Ian Beckles. Ian Beckles is locking it down 5 days a week there on WDAE. Talking sports with my boy Rich. Reason why I put Marpet right up there, not just because we found that kid in the 23rd round out of Hobart and he comes in and has a phenomenal career. Not that he's going to be in the in the Hall of Fame. He's not, but he made the Pro Bowl last season. He's in the Buccaneer Ring of Honor hearts. Let's be honest, but he had a plan to do the thing, to make so much, to play the game at its highest level, and he's going back to school and he's going to continue his education. I like the Marpet family. Not only that, but they're a bunch of athletes, which doesn't make it any better than us. I'm just saying is that they're just a great family. Johnny Dean, Ray, give me a minute. I'll jump on with you and work the comments. Johnny Dean, I'd love you to come in here with my special guest coming on because I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't want to curse it because he's getting set and it's a Sunday and he had to do his thing. But James Canada from the Big Game Sports Buzz, Big Game James. Want to talk James because I want to talk with him about that. He's the first person I thought when Greg Allman stimulated me this morning with those 2022 matchups. I'm like, there's a cat that's going to know, has already been talking about it. And let me share this before I bring him on with you because this is what I want to share with you. Irony is you're not maybe going to bucksreport.com to get breaking, but here's the thing. We have been breaking, or we've been breaking as fast as any other outlet. Everyone in the world, I mean, there's a single reporter in a locker room who's on a phone who has a tweet. That's the story. Everything else in the universe is Reddit. We're just taking it, but we're reporting it. We're doing it for our people, for our hustle, for our group. And then we're putting our little spin on it. We're putting our words to it, like me out here sweating like a son of a gun on a Sunday. Happy 4th of July weekend. But that's where the good stuff is. That's the water cooler talk. That's why we love other people's opinions, because of the fact is that we're all thinking the same thing. Go Bucks. But someone's always at a different place. Maybe they've already thought about this offensive line thing. Maybe they've already thought about the fact that we play the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. And you're like, well, what's about Cam Hayward and TJ Watt? TJ Watt, NFL Defensive Player of the Year. They lead the league in sacks. While we're looking at Aaron Donald, or why we're looking at what the Saints are going to do to the Bucks, why we're looking at these Cincinnati Bengals and that defensive line, Pittsburgh's scary, and we're facing them in Pittsburgh. And that's TJ Watt. He's a game changer. So he's going to be, Tristan's going to be on his game. Your tight ends are going to be on their game. That's going to be, so that's just one of the things I like. And here's the thing. The reason why I pose that is because you probably hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about that. And that's the reason why when we're talking about this here on Sunday, I need your comments. What are you guys thinking about this? Anything I've said here today yet so far, or anything you're thinking moving forward? I'm up to 8 views. That's one more than I had at live yesterday. Thank you again. I'm not getting thanks to the staff here. They have music out here on a stage and back of here at Krabby's on the Pass 7 days a week and twice on Saturdays and Sundays. Of course, usually it's my twice on game day. I do it 7 days a week and twice on game day, but 7 days a week they have music out here on this huge deck. I'm on the extended deck of the extended deck, still with a beautiful view of John's across the boardwalk there at John's Pass. Here at Krabby's on the Pass, music, all these cabanas go up. We have shade. You get the most beautiful sunset there behind the Treasure Island Bridge. And then bury the lead tomorrow. You can either go under the bridge and around the curve here to the beach here on the Treasure Island side, or you can cross this beautiful bridge, great walkway they built on it, and go onto the Madeira Beach side and see all the fireworks. So, if you're down here, the place is going to be not mob. The place is going to be do its due because people love it here at Krabby's on the Pass. But even if it's not tomorrow, anytime through the summer, and then bury the lead when we get into the winter months, it gets cool. Come down here. Now the sun will change. The sun will actually set further south, but you'll still be out here at Krabby's enjoying that beautiful light in the sky. I hope this cat's ready to bring in. Oh, you should have jumped on in here yourself. Come on in here, Mr. Johnny Dean, the professor. JD, how are you? I can't hear you. Maybe you can. Oh, I got you muted here. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Hey, how do you like this view, Jay?
Awesome, dude.
How do you like this view, Jay?
Oh, that's the best tight end in the world, ain't it?
Oh, talk about the Buccaneer tight ends, Johnny. I was just talking about the fact that we faced T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward. Tell me about these two rookie run and tell me why Cam Braid's going to be the Buccaneers' #1 receiving tight end until Gronk comes back in 2022.
I'm not sure Cameron Braid's going to be the best. I mean,
you think Cade Otton?
I got a lot of faith in Cade Otton, man.
I do.
He looked real good. I haven't seen a lot of Keith, but Cade Otton, I saw a lot of Cade Otton during the college year.
I will say I saw last night Night Train Lane and Tom Krasnicki on Bay News 9. They lock it down with their sports coverage on Monday through Friday, 10:30 on Bay News 9. If you're not catching it, Sports Extra. And they had the debate. And, of course, Krasnicki keeps it there with until Gronk comes back. Before I finish this thought, let me see if I can welcome this cat to the show. I already told you he was coming. I'm glad I was able to make it. Former Buccaneer, former Indianapolis Colt, number 98 in your program, but number 1 in your heart, Mr. James Canada. James, how are you, my friend?
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Good. I was just finishing this thought with Johnny. We face there's a lot of good matchups the Bucs face, but one of them that I didn't see coming until I read Greg Allman of The Athletic this morning again is that Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt game against those Pittsburgh Steelers. And I suddenly realized the Buccaneers are going to have to really depend on 2 starting guards and possibly 1 rookie at one of the tight end positions, James.
I'm sorry, my device went in and out. I missed your question, Ray.
That's okay. How about I'll get back to you, James. Johnny, what are your thoughts about that? You were talking about Cade Otton.
Oh, I just love Cade Otton. He's got the blocking skills. He's got the he can go down the seam and catch that seam route. I expect to see him, unlike we saw from Pitts last year. Pitts got a lot of receiving yards, but he got 1 touchdown all year. He wasn't that effective inside the end zone, man. I think Cade Otton's going to be that guy with Mike Evans down there in the end zone.
Fighting for them hard yards. James Canada, answer for me. Who's the best tight end? Not the best, but give me one of the best tight ends you played with. Maybe the biggest characters or someone you just really enjoyed playing with.
Well, the biggest character I played with at the tight end position wasn't in Tampa. It was actually in Indianapolis with Marcus Pollard.
I could see that. Yeah,
was a clown off the field, but put in a lot of work. Tight ends when I was in Tampa was Dave Moore, Patrick Haight, Ty Yoder. I mean, we had a lot of guys coming in and out, and John Davis. But and our tight ends had to block.
You're playing for Tony Dungy, and you don't block. You don't have a spot on this team. I don't care if you're kicker. Martin Gramatica had to be a blocker on this team, didn't he, James?
Yeah. So it was crazy. But Johnny, you made a good point. I've heard nothing but great things about Otton and what he can do. And in college, he was a solid piece. But Ray, I don't know if you saw it the other day. I did a piece saying, do the Buccaneers need to bring in a veteran tight end presence, because no one can no one can really duplicate what Rob Gronkowski did for us in the red zone.
Yes.
But at the same time, to rely that much on youth, I think it's still going to be, a tough learning curve the early part of this season.
James, let me ask you this, because you were in the trenches in Tampa, but I sell it enough, right? But you were in the trenches. You were a defensive lineman. You just talked about the importance and possibly bringing in, and I saw that take, brother. Talking about bringing in a veteran presence. But you tell me, James Canada, as a former Buccaneer but former NFL defensive lineman, how important does that also become when you're talking about 2 new starting guards on that offensive line, and Shaq Mason and possibly that second-round pick Luka Decky?
I mean, for Ledecky, the rookie is going to be a little bit of more of a concern. For Mason, man, if you look at his film in New England, he is a nasty road grader. So for him to come in, all he's got to do is get familiar with the system and what's being done. That's almost, and we know Ali Moffett retired, and then our other guy went to Cincinnati. So
Kappa's a Bengal,
yeah, and
yeah.
Kappa went to Cincinnati. So like no diss right there, and with those, but it's almost like we got a good switch right there. So Mason's not going to be the problem. The rookie is the
Yeah.
one that is going to take a little bit more time to get acclimated and see how he's going to hold up an entire season.
Johnny, we're going to have to continue to see maybe guys, I'm wrong on this, but Johnny, I'm going to have to continue to see. I love Donovan Smith. I'm going to have to continue to see that improved running game, that improved running blocking, not just because the Todd Bowles inspired. We want to make that. I'm kidding. Todd Bowles inspired defensive minded team. No, they're still going to run this Todd Byron Leftwich offense. But the fact of the matter is Donovan really improved his rushing game when he got a quarterback that gets rid of the ball faster in the GOAT. But I need to see him. We saw him starting to get downfield in 2021. I'm going to see more of that this year so he can continue to open holes and almost do like Shaq Mason does on the right side. Take the game to them instead of letting the game come to us.
Well, Donovan was much better in the run game than he was in pass blocking to begin with.
Right.
So I don't. And when you got this is one of my pet things right now. I think the Bucs with that Rachaad White on there, if Rachaad White is what I'm thinking he's going to be, that's going to be a hell of a 1-2 punch with Lenny and Rachaad White, man. I think they might reach into the top 5 running back duos.
Let me ask you, James Canada, Jalen Darden. I said this the moment I saw this kid in the preseason last year. Of course, the undrafted kid out of Texas. Texas, I'm not sure the exact, you might know, brother. But the speed that kid's got, every time he touches the ball, there's a potential for lightning. I think he solidifies and wins that return game. But are we going to start seeing him as an X factor in the offense maybe, or is that something you'd like to see?
I think it's something that it can be done, and you'll see it worked in. Special teams is a big key. But a person that I talked about the other day when someone was asking me a question, it was is Gage coming from Atlanta. I think he comes in and can fit and help out very well. Also, especially while we're waiting on Chris Godwin to come back and be 100%.
Does that make you guys? We saw when Chris Godwin injures it. Saints were playing hard. Some would want to define it as dirty. I saw hard football. They were playing for the defensive coach, Dennis Allen, and they played inspired. They went. They don't want to take Chris Godwin up too high. That cat's big, but I didn't think that I saw the reverse bend, and I was like, I know there's something there. It didn't look like a full tear, and it wasn't an ACL and an MCL, but. Bringing in Russell Gage, are we starting to think that we're not going to see Chris Godwin until, maybe the Buccaneers keep him on the shelf till after the bye week in week 8 against Seattle and Germany and bring him in for the haul?
Well, the rumor is right now the earliest could be like the 2nd or 3rd week of the season. Okay. And even with the knee injury like that, he's not going to be himself until, probably about 5 weeks after that. When I say himself, 100%. So now you got a guy that can kind of take that load off. And Cyril Grace is another guy that can help out, that played spotty. Y'all talked about Cameron Brake. He's a good receiving tight end. You can still put him out in the slot a little bit. So I think there's different things that can be done to help cover up while Godwin is recovering. But, me personally, I don't want him to come back too fast and not be the receiver we know he can be.
Yeah, he's got to go plant on that foot one good time so he can get feeling the field back and stuff. Yeah.
James, you're right there in Texas. You're my undercover guy, of course, locking it down on the Big Game Sports Buzz. But you knew this kid, Logan Hall. He was part of what were they called? Sack Avenue there at Houston. You've seen this kid. Yeah. Tell Buck fans that are watching here on Sunday a little bit about what you've seen with this kid and what the Buccaneers can look to be getting in this defensive line in that first round pick.
Well, Logan Hall, he is deceiving. If you look at him and see him. And then even on tape, he doesn't really look that fast or great. But for his size, he moves very well. He's interchangeable. And I think that's the one thing the Buccaneers fell in love with when they got him. He can play inside. You can put him outside a little bit. You can put him down at the nose position and let him rush from there if he had to. Extremely long arms. Some people say he's too light. He's 285 pounds on a 6'6" frame. Maybe he can stand to gain about 10 more pounds. But his arm strength, and it's something he just got better at when he was at Houston, and to where you put him in that system in Tampa with the NFL coach. With
this defensive line, he's got some mentors on this line with Vea and Shaq Barrett, and you got, with Nunez Roches. I'm talking about Golston, the cats that can show this kid the thing. Johnny Dean, I'm not trying to put down anyone because I'm an optimist at heart, but did Logan Hall? we love getting this kid, again, part of Sack Avenue there at Houston, but did it almost feel like, because great managers don't, a good general manager will keep trying until they get it right. They know when you, and Dominic and Sue and JPP are players getting near the end of career. When you let Warren Sapp, when you let him go out to Oakland, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not even going to go there. Maybe you have a thought about that, James, but did Logan Hall, Johnny Dean feel like more of a swing for a miss on Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, or is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, he's still a gifted, phenomenal athlete. Is he still going to make his due?
I think Tryon's got a couple of years to get that weight on him, to full adult man strength in him, and I think we're going to see a lot of William Golson out there in rotation with him.
Wow, James Cannon, do you almost see? Because I'm Shaq Barrett. You put him with Devin White, but Levante, you're talking about the veterans on this off defense. I mean, Shaq was a 5-year veteran when he comes here from Denver, but could Joe Tryon-Shoyinka? And I'm just spitting here, guys. So if you shoot me down, but could he be a replacement for Shaq? I've never seen him from the left side. He's always been on the right side. Could they go to a heavy 3-4 defense where the stand-up rusher is coming from the other side, and just to switch things up?
They could. I think Tryon, he's going to be fine. He has long arms. He's a little bit smaller. Has a frame similar to a Simeon Rice, believe it or not. Man.
Yep.
Yes.
So he's going to be fine. I think. I don't think the Logan Hall pick is a knock on him. I think they're trying to get guys that are interchangeable, like you said, right? Because Shaq Barrett's not going to be able to play forever, getting a little older, and you need to be able to start working different guys around to see what you get. Because we know one thing: we're solid in the middle. Akeem Hicks, when they signed him, I was dancing around my house. I mean, about three years ago in Chicago, this guy was a man child, and injuries had him a little banged up and missed about 8 games I think last season. But if he can stay solid enough with him and Vay in the middle, man, it makes you the happiest D lineman in the world. At least me.
I want to ask James something, man. James, does this team make you want to suit back up, dude? I mean, you got the shoulders still, man. You still got them shoulders, buddy.
And no disrespect to anybody I played with, but to have this offensive prowess with the defense that we had in '98 from 2001 when I was there, it'd make you do a happy dance.
Let me tell you, James, I was talking with Peter Blake on 1252 Sports here, the over-under with Heritage Greek on Friday night, and we were talking with this guy. He's called Fat Mike out of Chicago. Great guy. Drops a lot of F-bombs, but we were talking about the greatest defenses of all time. And Peter Blake tried to make a pose to say, okay, we may not be able to make any definition for what was phenomenal, but as far as for over a span of 5 to 7 years, a span of 4 to 5 years, but 6 years of what the defense and what you guys did back then puts us among. We may not be able to touch the 46 Bears in '85 because they, crazy, or maybe the 2000 Ravens because Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. I'm kidding. I'm going to get Trent grief, but you guys, for a sustained period of time, was the best defensive performance I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, I think we're right there in that argument. A lot of people can say that, but when you have a defense around the country and world that's modeled after you and called the Tampa 2, it lets you know that you had an impact on the defensive scene in the NFL. And to be able to put pressure on a quarterback the way we did without even having a blitz made us that much more special, because now you got guys like Derek Brooks, Hardy Nickerson, Shelton Quarles, Jeff Gooch when he was there that could just play. Rondé Barber and John Lynch could come down if we needed them to. But very rarely did we even need run support from our safeties, or our corners needed to come in and ever help us on run. So we did things that a lot of defenses couldn't do, where a lot of teams would scheme you disguise and relied on secondary and linebacker help to support the run. We did it with 4 guys up front.
And Johnny Dean
are still the only ones that can run that Tampa 2 like you did. It was the personnel in that Tampa 2 that made Tampa 2 so special, because everybody else has tried and they never succeeded that well.
Nope. And Monty Kiffin and Tony Dungy made the statement, and they said in practice, and Lovie Smith, everybody, Herm, all on board, like, guys, this starts with the guys up front. If you guys up front can't do this, then we can't do what we need to do on the back end. So we need everybody to work together. Wow. So we all came in carrying our lunch pail together, knowing that we relied on each other to make it happen.
I'll tell you what, again, if you're just tuning in, I'm joined by James Canada, former Buccaneer defensive lineman, but locking it down on Big Game Sports Buzz, and Johnny Dean, the professor. And here's what I pose. Johnny Dean, you're right there in Pittsburgh. I know about the Steel Curtain. I know about the Raiders and Lyle Alzado and oh, my God, Lester Hayes and Stickham, but some of the great defenses. Ooh. But you're talking about the Buccaneers defense, and you're talking about that James Canada played on at the turn of the century. the changing landscape of the entire National Football League. It was going way away from 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And then I love the fact that the Bucs are able to take Mike Gallstott and still throw in an ode to 3 yards in a cloud of dust and having a workhorse and a monster in that cat and what he's able to do. But you guys were the Tampa 2 the reason the Tampa 2 came about was because you guys had enough time to work together there, James. And that's why I pose it near the top, at the top for me in my lifetime that I've seen defensive success over time.
Yeah, them and the Ravens were right there neck and neck. They were just, man, it was fun to watch that defense.
Sorry to hear about Siragusa. That was tough.
Oh, man.
Yeah, crazy. 55 years old, man. And that guy, when I say a character, and like, only time I ever interacted with Siragusa is when we played against the Ravens a couple of times. But I knew a couple of guys I played with him. And just the character, man. And if you walked up to talk to him, he's sitting there, he's carrying conversation on with you like he's known you forever.
Yeah.
It's funny, Johnny Dean, they'd go to every NFL Fox game with the number one crew. Of course, this year, the crew movements between all the networks a big story, but I always wanted to go to that 30 or 90-second take with Siragusa in one of the end zones with the crowds going crazy. And he's the guy you wanted to sit on the couch. So's Booger McFarland, but you got to leave that Booger mobile in the parking lot. But Booger McFarland and Tony Siragusa, those are the two cats that I'd like to be on a couch and just talking about a game. But of course, James Canada, I put you over on the love seat, brother.
Goose was hilarious. He was a good comedian too, man.
Yeah.
So I was talking about the success. Green Bay doesn't have Devontae. Devontae goes out there and joins Carr and with the Raiders. But I'm talking about James again. The Buccaneers face 8 of the top 10 passing teams in 2022 from 2021. There's going to be a lot of that front seven's going to have to apply that pressure, but there's going to be some pressure on our secondary to show up. And they bring up some veterans there. They should be able to find their way. No,
I think we'll be fine. We did deal with a lot of injuries last year, and we lost Winfield to the Jets. But still having Carlton Davis and not Winfield, I said the wrong name. Antonio Winfield Jr. is, man, I love watching that guy play. I still think that we're going to be okay. The schedule guys were real evil to us. It is what it is. I mean, you look at this the first 4 weeks of the season, it's just like, really? This is this is what we have going on. But today's game, the way it is in the NFL, I'm not alarmed by I don't get as nervous. Like, it sounds horrible, but everybody's throwing the ball like crazy nowadays. And every week going in, your secondary is going to be tested. It just depends on what quarterback is back there throwing the ball, if you feel a little bit more threatened or not.
Johnny Dean, talking about Antoine Winfield Jr. that James there mentions. Antoine Winfield Jr., maybe I should ask James this, but I'll ask you first, Johnny. Does he almost feel like a mix between a John Lynch and a Rondé Barber? Like, he knows when to keep quiet and do his thing, of course, because of his father. He's Little Tweez, his father, Big Tweez. Winfield was such a phenomenal secondary player with Minnesota. But also at the same time, he's not afraid to come in and give you some of his cockiness. I'm not saying John. I don't know. I'm saying who was cocky. Who was cockier? I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm going to go to James. Who was cockier seriously on the field, John Lynch or Rondé Barber?
Lynch was all business.
Yeah.
And not to say Rondé wasn't, but Rondé had a whole little different swagger about him. You know what I'm saying? So where Lynch was going to line up. He was going to make sure the defense was lined up in the right spot. He was that quarterback on the defensive side of the ball, especially with that secondary.
Yeah.
And he was going to just try to come, knock you out, and probably himself at the same time. Rondé was going to make a play, learn how to disguise his coverage, bait the quarterback into doing something, and then he was going to let the quarterback know, I made you make a mistake.
True. Johnny Dean, that sounds like about right to you, except Rondé, because like James says that Rondé had that swagger. Rondé did have that swagger, man, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He still does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still say I should see this kid. Maybe he's keeping it local because we know he's still here in the community and doing his thing. But I don't know why we see him every year in the preseason. I don't know why when you're bandering about these names of guys, I'm sure there's a lot of talented people that can cover the booth. But why Rondé's name? Unless he just doesn't want to go, he wants to stay regional because we love having that cat in the preseason. Why he doesn't get considered for one of them big chairs at some point? Sorry, there wasn't a question there. I was just making a statement like I always do. I'm sorry, guys. So
it's hard. I don't know how they do the schedule the way they do with who they have announcing what games, but his day is going to come if that's what I think he wants to do. But I think he likes how what he's doing right now too.
Johnny, did you hear about Aaron Andrews? Of course, daughter to Steve Andrews, one of the best investigative reporter and journal analyst here in WFLA in Tampa Bay. Love Steve Andrews. Erin Andrews goes to Bloomingdale High right here. Local girl, goes on to UF. Now I think she's the best sideline reporter in the National Football League. Had you heard anything about her recruiting Tom Brady to Fox after a few too many tequilas out in Montana on vacation?
I just actually read that on a Bucs Report article. So,
oh, that one I wrote. Had you heard about that, James?
I did not hear that's how that whole thing went down. That is new. I'm going to have to pull that up on Bucs Report and check it out.
Then I'm not going to tell the story so I can get more page views. I'm kidding, but I'll try to keep it long. I want to get it real short. But yeah, she's had too many tequilas. She gets to. She's on a vacation with her husband. I think his name is Jake, but it's a no cell phone vacation. Like James, you just got back from vacation. There's no cell phone vacations, are there?
Man, I think I'm worse than the kids when it comes to my cell phone. I'm addicted, so it was in my hand the whole time. And the funny thing about it was, I was trying to find time to make shorts on the balcony with just great backdrops and scenery.
Yes,
my wife was laughing at me the whole time, but I put it down long enough to enjoy my family, my kids, my mom, and my cousins. But at the same time, yes. I had it right there in my hip pocket. I can't help myself.
Brother, thank you for those posts and those views, because I was getting some of that flavor. I was feeling that. And that's what we do when we're seeing your stuff. That's why I can reference that you were on vacation. And of course, she's on vacation with her husband, and it's a no cell phone vacation. And of course, she gets the phone pops. And do you remember, Johnny Dean? I'm going to text you. Who was the phone pop? She sees it's caller ID. Who's calling her first call?
Repeat that question, man.
Who's calling her first call that starts this whole process with Erin Andrews recruiting Tom Brady to Fox? She sees her phone. I'll give you a hint. If you don't know, just tell me. It's fine.
I don't know.
It's Troy Aikman. She sees her phone. It's Troy Aikman, and she turns to her husband and she goes, "This can't be good. This isn't good." Of course, James Canada. The first rumors were Troy was going to go to ES or was going to go to Amazon. Right? There was talk about him jumping to the streaming network. We didn't think he'd go to ESPN, which in fact he actually does. Right?
Yeah, it's
and so
we lost James.
It's that, but yeah, she gets the thing. I'll just continue to tell the story, and James will pop in if he can. She gets the thing. It's Troy Aikman, and so she starts doing 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4 floor, and she calls it. She basically, the story goes, and it was on Train of Thoughts on SI.com that she reached out to Fox, and she's like, "Look, why don't we swing for the fences and just see if we can get Tom Brady over here?" And then somewhere down the road, the ball rolls a little more, and Tom gets that 10-year contract, right, John?
Yep.
We got any more? You've been doing the comments all along.
Yeah.
Bruce Ogilvie says, "Hi. Take me back to some of these. If you got any more." Oh, Christopher Cole. Let's see Christopher Cole. Oh, Jenny Denver. Love you, Pops. I've got to go to work. Better. God bless. Thank you for stopping in here. Hey, every view is another, maybe an extension to another social network to someone who may find sports talk interesting. Alex Schomber says, "What's up, guys?" Kept Alec on. Man, Johnny, thank you. Kept Alec on for 4 hours yesterday.
I can't believe you did a 4-hour show, man. Is that your first? That's your first, ain't it?
That's my what?
That's your first one, ain't it?
First 4-hour show? Yeah, brother. I've done other shows, but that was my first. And it got to the point where I was like, the sun went overcast the sky and it wasn't that hot, and humidity. It's steamy. It's July 4th weekend. Again, happy Independence Day out to everyone out there. We got James back in here. Alex Schomber says, "Sorry, I'm recovering from Ray's marathon yesterday." Yeah, I was talking about, so I told the story there. James, can you hear us now?
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I think my Bluetooth in my car was fighting the Bluetooth of my earpiece. So
that happens to me all the time. Johnny Dean will call me. I'm trying to get the call. It's fighting between my device and my Bluetooth, and Johnny just gets pissed off and hangs up on me. So Erin Andrews gets the phone pop. It's Troy Aikman, and she's like, "Whoa!" So she answers it, finds out Troy Aikman's moving on from Fox. So she's on vacation, and she's had several or a few tequilas. She tells it. It was on Jimmy Traina's Train of Thought there on SI.com to give propers to where it belongs. But after quite a few too many tequilas, she calls one of her bosses at Fox, one of the brass, and she says, "Look, truth in advertising. I've had too many tequila, but if we're gonna recruit someone to Fox, let's hit it out of the park and go for Tom Brady." And then you see a couple of weeks, month later, that there's the 10-year, $275 million contract.
I know it's enough to have me thinking about if I'm time to put a headset. Put a blazer on to hold the microphone.
and I'm just doing little mini sermons, not even asking questions. So let me go back if I can, Johnny, while I'm here, and we'll get James. He'll pop in here.
Let me ask James a question real quick, man.
What's
Please.
up, Johnny?
I want to go back to the tight end thing. We went glazed over that veteran presence at the tight end.
Yeah.
Um, I think Cameron Brate makes a veteran presence. I mean, you know yourself how hard it is for a walk on to do what Cameron Brate's done.
Yeah, you're
And
right. And when I did my article on my piece, John, it was like no slight to Bray, but I just feel think about it. We had Grunk, Bray, and
right,
Howard, and a healthy Howard is pretty good, right?
right,
He got hurt, he's gone. Bray is there. We got two rookies that we have to rely on. My whole thing was I was like, can a Kyle Rudolph come in and help us, or can a Eric Ebron come in and help to go along with to make more than one veteran in the locker room? But you're right, Bray does really classify and qualify as a veteran presence now. Just didn't know
Yeah.
if he needs like one more piece to kind of help him out while those young guys get brought along very well. And I mean, I know Ebron and Rudolph or at the back ends or tail ends of their careers. But for what you need to get done in the red zone to help play situational football with your tight end, those are
right,
just two names that came to mind for me that I thought that the Buccaneers could use or think about.
right. I think Brate's got the knowledge to put the guys in the right place and help them out on the field and stuff like that. My problem is, how do you replace a JPP? I mean, Tryon's got some big shoes to fill, man, with him.
There's a
He's
lot of
got
heart.
Ronald McDonald shoes to fill. You're right.
Yeah,
There's a
Exactly.
there's a lot of heart you got to fill, right? Not only phenomenal talent, but the heart that he brought to that team and the veteran leadership, right, James? Wow.
Yeah, and guys, it's hard to replace a good player. It's even harder to replace uh that leadership presence also.
got
And
drive.
you're not necessarily going to replace it. You just got to find someone that's going to be able to make the plays, and someone else is going to have to step up. I mean, they're going to
Yeah.
have to just not play bad, but someone else is going to have to turn into that leader now. And that's
Johnny. No, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, Johnny, you remember what I did the other night? I was talking to you on a show and I made up that nickname for Hakeem Hicks and Vita Vea in the middle. And I think I called them Eclipse, right? But I think I like Twister better. I think you're going to get Akeem's going to bring that attitude from Chicago that he's always had, James. It's been such a big part of his game. And Vita, with that way he blows up that middle and the havoc you're going to reach from inside there, I think that's going to be where your veteran leadership, as well as a Shaq Barrett, but I think it's going to come from inside there, no?
Yeah, someone there is going to step up and do what they need to do to help this team out. And like you said, to just, all the JPP story, to watch his career in the NFL, to have the fireworks accident, to come down to Tampa and kind of be, to me, reborn in a sense and play the way a lot of people thought that he would never be able to play again because of his hand. I love what he brought to our franchise and what he did for the
Don't
team.
forget the neck injury, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Totally,
Jeez.
that's right. Yeah,
And the fact
so,
that
the
no, I was
place
going to say the fact
it's going to be hard to replace that. You don't replace guys like that.
No.
best part of the for me, the JPP story, not the best part, but for us in Tampa Bay, was the fact that this kid, he's one of the first ones to go from USF when the USF Bulls, go Bulls, we're trying to get on the map, and then New York drafts him. We're like, wow, when we knew he was the reason why this Jim Levitt's defense was phenomenal, but then to bring him back to Tampa Bay, I loved it because we haven't heard any. I don't think, is there any rumors out there that he's looking to go somewhere in 2022, or is he just going to start enjoying that second half there in Miami where he lives?
Last I saw on his Twitter, he was headed to Brazil or something like that, man.
That's where he's earned that, James. Like you said, the things he's been through, the injuries, and Johnny mentions the neck. But you guys talked about tight ends. There's a position that we're waxing over. We know how tough this schedule is. Let me put you on the spot right now, Johnny Dean. You first. Buccaneers go to Dallas, then New Orleans, then home against Green Bay, and then Week 4 against the Chiefs. What's the Buccaneers' record in Week 5?
3-1.
3-1. Okay. I'll come back to who you lose. What about you, James? Are we shooting for the moon here, or is there what are we looking at?
No, I mean, we don't really know until we know, right? But at the same time, I can't argue with Johnny on the 3-1, and I'm hoping it's 3. I'm hoping it's only 1 out of those first 4. I believe. I mean, you could say 2-2, but at the same time, I believe we're better than a 500 team, right? So,
yeah,
I'm going to have to say 3-1 also. And I did a show on Friday night, and they asked me what the game I was most intrigued by this season, And a lot of people thought I was crazy. Most intrigued by the second game of the season with the Saints because that was
Really?
the one divisional foe that had our number the last
Mhm.
several years, and
Yes.
to where we know the Falcons are down and we know the Panthers are down, but the one team that could be a problem for us is the Saints. So I think we need to establish early on in the season how we're going to be in our division, and then all those NFC games are beyond important to me.
You damn good. You agree, Johnny?
Yeah,
100%?
100% right there.
Wow, because of that 0-4 in the regular season against the Saints, being our divisional, even though we win the South in 2021, it almost and the Saints weren't even really near us in the rear, but it still felt like we won it. But man, we didn't really, win it. That week 2 game is a phenomenal game, though, James. Good take.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the game I have us on a loss, and that's a
Oh,
completely
Johnny, you ruined it.
that's a completely unbiased
No, I
opinion
get it,
because you got to beat them to beat them. You know, mind?
brother. And James isn't 3-1? I I always want to be not gluttonous or glub, but isn't saying 3-1 actually kind of like saying we're not going to be surprised if it's 4-0, and we could possibly stomach 2-2, but 3-1 is like almost saying it should definitively be 3-1 with those first 4 games we play. But
If we can get over
also,
Cam Jordan and that defense, man,
I'll tell
that's
you
Yeah.
what,
the problem. That's the
that's
problem
huge. That's
because
Yeah.
momentum.
they beat us with 3 different quarterbacks, including Simeon Rice.
That hurts.
Trevor Simeon.
Trevor Simeon. Yeah, exactly.
And so that's
When you face the Saints team, like, oh, they got Trevor Simeon. We got this. We got him this time. And again, then
right.
we know 12 didn't have his best game ever. But my whole thing is looking at the schedule, and Jay Stoggs is giving me hell about week 1 already because of the Cowboys. It's a game I think we should come in and win, but at the same time, it's a game that makes me nervous because of all the expectation and pressure that's being put on the Dallas Cowboys here. And what better way for them to establish their kind of season, but to try
I
to
got a
come and
great take
upset
on
the
that, buddy.
Buccaneers.
I got a great take on that. I
Do
think
it.
the difference between the Dallas Cowboys and the Buccaneers is the Dallas Cowboys still play as individuals. The Buccaneers are a team play, a team game,
That's
unified team.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
hey.
Yeah.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
always been like that with the Cowboys. That's why they fall apart at the end of the season. That's why they can't get beyond that first round of playoffs and stuff. I think that's always what it's been. And until
Yeah.
they start playing as a team, instead of worrying about their contracts all the time, they're going to be just what they are. I
Right.
believe, but the Brady Bucs are 100% team mentality.
Yeah. And whenever we got 12 at quarterback, it makes me feel a lot better what we can or can't get done.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be fine. Week 1 games, guys, believe it or not, it gives you a gauge of kind of what you're going to look like. But at the same time, in the game of football, you go into week 1 with a plan of what you think you're going to do. But until you see that team really execute, you may have to start making your adjustments for the season after week 1. That's why kind of week 2 is more important to me. And
I'm
really,
getting
those first
tingles.
3 weeks are very important on knowing what the team is going to do or be capable of doing.
I'm getting tingles because you still worked it back to that New Orleans Saints week 2 game. And doesn't week 1 always feel like, let's be honest, we know how important week 1 can be to setting the entire season, put into perspective. And I'll give you an example in a minute. But hasn't week 1 always almost felt like the preseason stepbrother? Like, week 5, it's like the 5th preseason game. Like you said, James, you're still kind of adjusting. There's still all the bunting up. Everybody's still celebrating like we are here on July 4th. I'm down here at Krabby's on the Pass. Come on down here, enjoy some great food. But it always felt, but seriously, that first game that can really set the tone, can't it?
Yeah, it does. And the thing is, I think week 1, from just the overall aspect of it and not just the player aspect, the anticipation. Think about what guys have been going through from a fan standpoint since the season's been over. We had the combine, we try to get excited for. You get the draft, you get excited for. You start making up stories during OTAs and minicamp because there's only so much to cover, and teams are very vanilla with what they're doing because they're just trying to get a general chemistry, but they know they don't want the media to see too much of what's going on. So by the time week 1 comes and that kickoff is happening, guys are excited to be back playing. Fans are ecstatic because we haven't had anything really to cheer for since early February, right? So it's just all the overall anticipation. And I know from a player, I used to love playing and seeing the fans just erupt and go crazy. And I was so pissed off my rookie year that because Raymond James still wasn't done. Our first 2 games of the season were on the road. So,
I
he
remember.
had to wait till week 3 to even get some good home cooking to have that fan base cheer us on and get us going. But I think it's just the whole ambiance and atmosphere of when the season kicks off and all the anticipation. But a good coach will always tell you, if something bad happens in week 1, don't worry about it too much. And if something good happens, we can't get too high on this wave because we're still going to have other things we need to figure out. So they try to
James,
pull you in the middle, whether it be win or lose within those first couple weeks of the season.
James, you just channeled your inner Tony Dungy. When you just said that because that's what Coach Dungy, and yet I'm sure all your coaches, but that's what Coach Dungy always preached. The first game's not going to put us up here. It's not going to put us down here. Let's just do our job and see where the chips fall. And that's what you just literally just channeled your inner Tony Dungy there.
It's easier to go into a second game with 1-0 than it is to go 0-1, though.
No doubt. I mean, it's a morale, it's a mentality, it's everything else. But at the same time, it's just, the good coaches know how to pull you in and corral you and not let you overthink it. And that's really what it comes down to because, if you're a kid that played in a program that you were great, but your program didn't win a lot, now this coach has to get you into a winning mentality, a way to, because you can go 0-1. And if you got a young team that had a lot of success in their past, they're like, oh, man, here we go again.
Here we go.
But it's not over. And it's the hardest thing to realize it's not over. And if you come from a program where you win all the time and you've never really lost, and you get one loss, you're just like, I'm on a losing team now. Not on a losing team if you go 0-1, dude. You can lose the first game and then still end up with, a 12-5 record playoff. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. So you got to find a happy medium.
I got a question for Ray and you.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ron.
I'll tell you what my answer is right now. What I'm looking for in that first game is Todd Bowles' scheme. I want to see the changes that's made in that scheme.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Ray?
Be honest with you, Johnny. I want to agree with you, but I'm going to be looking to the opposing sideline in Quinn's scheme. I don't think they turned into the Legion of Boom overnight, but we've seen him. He didn't have the success as head coach in Atlanta, but we saw the improvements on defense. They've got a phenomenal defense. They didn't do anything to hurt that this year. That's going to be a war, isn't it, James?
Yeah, and realistically, we talked about our offensive line. Dallas is swearing that they've gotten better up front. I still think that they're missing a true interior piece that they need to address. We know Michael Parsons is a Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere within that front seven you put him. The young kid that they drafted out of Ole Miss is going to be a hell of a pass rusher. But I think just the battle of the line up front, and if we can establish a running game in that game, that's really what I'm looking for in that game itself. Quinn schemes very well. There's no one particular thing you can say like this position does this. He will try to take his best pieces, put something together, and create different blitz packages for those guys to work together. So I just think our line being a little bit new together, like we said, some of the chemistry. I want to see how our offensive line fares week 1, as I think I'm going to be watching more than anything.
Yeah, that's Dallas's strength too, that defense.
Oof. Johnny, where were you in '98, the year that Raymond James opened after they tore down the old sombrero next door, the big sombrero, and they moved the stadium a little bit north and a touch bit east? Where were you in '98?
Watching.
There you go. Boom. Take us back, James.
Watching.
James, well, Mr. James Cannon, again, you're watching Cup of Ray here on a Sunday morning. I hope I can keep these cats for a few more minutes. Thank you for taking time out of your July 4th holiday weekends. But James took us there. He talked about the fact that in '98, we literally, because Raymond James wasn't ready, you guys played all 4 of your preseason games and the first 2 weeks of the season. And then you come home in week 3, and I believe I was at all those games. It was Chicago.
Chicago Bears, yeah.
Yeah, a divisional game. Tell me about that, James, and what it meant for you guys after being Road Warriors for 6 weeks and not had on. You got this brand new stadium, this new crown, this new jewel crown for the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. What did it feel like going out in the field that first game against those Bears?
Well, first and foremost, we had 5 preseason games that year because we had to play in the Hall of Fame game.
That's right, the Hall of Fame game. That's why it was stuck in my mind. Yes.
So here it is for me, being a young 23-year-old guy. I felt like I played like half of my college season
already.
going into week 1. We played Minnesota week 1 on the road. Then we went to Green Bay in week 2.
All divisional, yes.
But yeah, all the 3 division games in a row. We come back and we open up with Chicago, and we're 0-2.
Yep.
We're 0-2. So
Yep.
just to come in and the reception of that crowd, and that was my
We've
first time seeing a home crowd.
Hey, brother,
And
that was my first time seeing you. No, I'm
and,
kidding. I've seen you
and,
before. It was
and
awesome.
my jaw just dropped and hits the ground. And I remember I'm inactive this game, which I didn't even realize they could make you inactive. I thought everybody had to make the team dress. That's another story for another day.
They
But
had you.
just the cheers, the roars, and the support, and because not too many years before, with me going into college, Tampa was not heard of at all. Tampa was still like kind of a joke or a laughing stock of the NFL. And, it was people would be like, oh man, he's gonna retire and go to Tampa. Like it was like football graveyard. So to see kind of, to me in my eyes, you get into what, that third year under Dungy, I think it was, when I got there, and the emergence of what he was building and doing for the team, but not just that, how the community, how the Tampa Bay community was embracing the
Yes.
Buccaneer, the team, and the support we got. Like I would love, some nights we came back from the airport, we got on the bus, we pulled back up to One Buck Place. Sign man was out there with his sign welcoming us back, and it's just like, dude, it's midnight, it's something in the morning. We still would have groups of fans, no matter if it
Yeah.
was just a regular game or whatever was going on. So just that whole thing, and just to see, I mean, in the pirate ship, man, I
So
think everybody on the team that first week, because we did a tour
the
at the
pirate
end of
ship
camp,
was
but just to see, like, man, everybody was like, hey, we got to hurry up and score. We want to hear the cannons go off.
How'd you react the first time those cannons went off?
Huh?
How'd you react the first time those cannons went off? Because
I
I've
mean,
seen
we're jumping
crazy
up and down,
reactions out there.
screaming, yelling, and I think it was me. It wasn't Shevin Smith. Who was? It was another rookie that were. I mean, but we're running up and down the sideline. You see the smoke. You hear the people going crazy in the car. Just like, dude, this is. I was like, we got something here. Like,
it
there's
was a oh, yeah.
no one in the NFL has this. I was like, we got something going, and this team we have with the wins we're about to start having, like, we're going to adopt a lot more fans. And people around the country start becoming Buccaneers fans, believe it or not.
The Pirates of the Caribbean. Didn't you feel if I felt the Pirates of the Caribbean groove? It was like one of the top grossing movies with Disney and Johnny. Well, I don't want to mention his name. I'm not sure what went on there, but you felt it with the pirate ships. And then when you guys came home for that third week against Chicago, I know we got some home cooking. I want to say it was 28-10, but let me ask you, where were you in the stadium, James? Because I've got that picture blown up on my wall at home, and I can go home with the magnifying glass after the show today and find out where Mr. James Canada was that game.
I know I'm in the middle of the field jumping up somewhere,
There
walking
you
across,
go.
talking to a few people.
I'll
But
find you.
yeah, it's just like I said, it was a electric atmosphere. Just loved it to see, like I said, how the fans embraced us and just wanted to be a part of what we were doing. It makes it a lot easier to go out and perform when you got people behind you that have your back.
Nice. Johnny, James, let me play a little game with you. I'm going to try to give you these names in reverse chronology to their infamy or their famousness. You guys scream when you know the position and maybe while I'm asking. You're going to know right off the bat. Cowboys, Dalton Schultz. Ravens, Mark Andrews. Chiefs, there you go. Travis Kelce of the Chiefs. You got Noah Fant in the Seahawks, although with Russell Wilson now in Denver, who knows? Najee Harris, well, he's a running back, but he plays like any those are running backs. I'm sorry, guys. And Kyle Pitts twice going out to facing Kittles out there against the 49ers. Tight end, and even Pat Freiermuth from Pittsburgh there, not knowing who's going to be pitching him the biscuits.
Even Pat Freiermuth.
No, I mean, he's a great tight end.
I put him above Pitts right now, buddy, because he can block.
Well, he's more of a true tight end. Pitts is a
wide receiver, glorified
wide
receiver.
Pitts is a wide receiver. That he's a hybrid. He's a really big wide receiver, but he's a rocket tight end.
Hopefully, like I said, I've made a couple of points, not to put the guy down. He's in Buffalo now and wish him all the best like we do all of our former players and friends. But kind of like maybe the emergence of what O.J. Howard we thought was going to be about 4.5 years ago. Not to put O.J. down, just different situations, different things. But Pitts has even a higher ceiling because he's got such great receiving skills.
Well, I think you're when you compare O.J. Howard and Pitts, you're in the right area because neither one of them block.
Oh, that's right, though, James. This, not to put them down, this is what they do. They use that speed to get it separate ability. I wish you guys could see me. I got to tell you, Han, you're watching the show. I love you. Happy Fourth. But across the street is the boat marina where all the boats people board and go off. And I guess the copper tone tanning team is across there right now, getting ready to go on a
Oh
boat.
wow.
So if while I'm talking to you guys, all of a sudden I'm just like, I go, oh, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, tight end's a tough position we play. Kittle's in New Orleans. Kittle's out in, I can't say San Francisco. Tight end position, it's going to rely a lot on Devin White and his coverage skills, not only to try to stop the run this year and get that running game up, but we're going to be relying on our linebackers to do a lot of covering across the middle, aren't we, guys?
Yeah, we are, but is we have the linebacking core that's capable of doing it.
Huh?
Yeah.
So that part of it doesn't scare me. It's always, we got some good tight ends we're gonna face. I mean, it just is what it is. Like I say all the time, it's the NFL. Every week you got to be able to go out and stop whoever you play against because, it's always gonna be someone you never heard of that's gonna still turn into that player maybe with some day. So you look at everybody as a threat.
Remember who these guys have been practicing against for the last 2 years too. You had Gronk out there on the field. That's the best tight end there is to compare them with. So
Right.
Are we going to see a 7 receiver set out of the Bucs this year? I mean, you got to have 5 down linemen, and you got the quarterback, so that's 6. 5 receiver set. When you got you get Chris Godwin back in, Russell Gage, and does Scotty Miller make the 2022 team? Just asking from the hip, guys. Best guess. It's tough to call. I know.
I don't know what to say he's doing in camp, so I can't say.
James, have you heard anything about this undrafted free agent receiver, this kid that comes for, there's always that good feel-good story because even if the kid don't make it here, he's going to make it somewhere and he's going to keep working that hustle till he finds his hustle. And maybe that hustle isn't on the field. Maybe that hustle is something else that he finds along the way, but I forget his name now. I apologize if one of you guys know, feel free to throw it in, but Bucs are always talking about wide receiver and they bring in a Gage when they've got Godwin and Evans and you're talking about Rashard Perryman and then,
the Gage pickup was one of the best we've made, man.
The Gage pickup?
Yeah, Russell Gage. I got great expectations for him to step into where Antonio Brown used to be. He's not Antonio Brown, but I think he might be a little bit more consistent than Antonio Brown was.
Yeah, he's going to be more consistent, and he can stretch the field as well.
He's got that speed now.
He has the speed to be a versatile piece, and guys, the thing we did with the receiving court last year, think about how many times we put Mike Evans in a slot to free him up, to change coverage up. So these guys are interchangeable and can play different places. That's another thing that's really cool about, the receivers we have and how they can help.
It's great having a strength. And the reason why and let me share with you guys, not trying to throw Scotty Miller off the squad. I go back to Bucs Report and read my initial rookie piece I wrote for him. I'm just, whatever. But I love that kid's hustle. But when I think about it, and I know, James, you already said special teams is important, but when I think about what a Jalen Darden or one of these smaller undrafted free agent receivers that have this blazing speed, and not that I'm putting down what you can have veteran leadership at wide receiver, but now I start to go, well, Scotty Miller, I've only seen him return a couple of punts. I've never actually, so you start to think, because the Bucs always want to have 72 receivers on their squad, but there does come a limit, like at 7. I just think it's going to be a tough call. There's going to be a great receiver another team's going to pick up when the Buccaneers get down to their 7 final receivers, aren't there?
Yeah, and that's just that's just the numbers game of what it comes down to. Or even if they might carry one more or put a couple on practice squad, but it's you can't keep every position. And I've always said that the NFL needed to extend the roster to 60 people, but they don't want to spend more money. They're gonna keep it capped where it is, but. That's just an old guy like me thinking.
I think eventually they're going to have to expand that roster, especially adding the other game and stuff. And after last year, we saw like the Ravens, they went into the final part of the season with hardly any starters on their team.
Yeah, they had to get about 10 guys off the street to try to come in and play. Yeah. That's impossible. So you can't ask John. You made a really good point just now. You can't keep adding games to the schedule. Making the season longer, but not giving the teams the amount of people to do it successfully because it's wear and tear on the body, and you need a little bit more depth to be able to help you out. You're right.
Let me add, did the NFL already expand their rosters to 120 per team. I'm kidding, but I'm making the point that we see that the XFL is going to be a streamlined pipeline for players. We know that the NFL is playing really nice with the USFL, who they complete their season. Is it this week or next week? They're in
This
Canton,
week, the
Ohio.
championship game's
I
tonight.
think I think the championship game is this weekend.
Right, and they're a feeder program. We love the officiating, and they're going to be a feeder. So the NFL kind of, it seems like a couple of years ago, someone went, okay, so there's this legalized gambling thing is going to be a thing. We're going to want football year round because everyone wants to always put a nut on something and have a little skin in the game. And then we're gonna have these two pipelines. We haven't seen it yet, and the NFL probably has to be careful. They don't want to place people there, but why wouldn't these two leagues become developmental leagues for some? You could get these young coaches. You could get minority coaches or coaches. First female head coach. Give it a shot. And it's like, doesn't everybody win at the end of the day? And do you guys see where that maybe that could be going?
Well, Ray, we all know this, and the truth is the truth. NFL owners, I think they think they're gods above everyone else, and
they
don't want to be threatened by anyone else. So they would really be the ones that have to be on board somehow to try to make this thing commingle and work together and figure out a way to do it. But every other major sporting league has a farm system some way, somehow. And, they did it years ago with NFL Europe. You can still do the same type of thing with these other leagues you're talking about without having to go overseas to do it. So I think something needs to be done, and I think that'd be a great idea to establish some type of feeder program.
And Johnny, don't you think that unlike the NBA Summer League or NBA 2, I made this last night. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to be honest. I love the WNBA more than the NBA. Not that I don't love what those cats are doing in a phenomenal postseason we just had as a Golden State Warriors win a championship. But WNBA got some great storylines, got some great basketball. But Roger Goodell and the Shield, the last thing they want to do is have everyone go, oh, the NFL is year-round boring, which it's still not because it's football. But yet you give it another league, give it a sexy title, USFL, XFL, maybe half naked male cheerleaders, but now and also you're still getting all that Vegas run. You're still getting FanDuel and Caesars and MGM are getting a piece of the pie. But just remember, guys, I didn't see it in Birmingham this year. The USFL talks about next year possibly there being 4 locations that'll have 2 teams of the 8 teams, not really expanding yet. For all the money they're making on revenues on gambling or this and that and concessions, I should see free tickets for fans. I heard the new cruise nest going in at Raymond James Stadium, which, James, you remember where that flat deck is there? Not the pirate ship end zone, but the other end zone in the south end zone. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you see that where they're building that or extending it up, right? They're building that up there, which is great. It's awesome. Okay. I think it's $270 per seat. Now, I get it. You got to take advantage of having Tom Brady at quarterback. Duh. But here's the thing. While you're making a $1.7 trillion on legalized and you got these bazillion-dollar contracts to these networks and all these commentators, isn't it time just to kind of get to a place where say, look, fans, if you want to sit right behind the end zone, it's going to cost you $1.50, $1.50 a game. I remember I got my first season tickets in 1976. They were $8 a piece in the north end zone, 14 rows up. If all this money's coming in elsewhere, do you guys agree that at some point the fans, at least the ones that are going to the stadium in person, shouldn't get some kind of love?
Should they? Yes. Will they? No.
No, I know they won't. And that's right, Johnny, isn't it?
Yeah, that was an easy answer right there.
You guys, the reason why I do this is my weekly flush is that I kind of get these stupid ideas out of my head. James, before we get you out of here, first, JD and James, thanks for joining me here. Happy 4th of July. What are you doing tomorrow for July 4th on the actual holiday, James? Are you celebrating it more today?
I'm still trying to find someone's barbecue to drop in on and impose on. I usually do a whole lot, but we're getting ready to make a trip back down to the Bay Area, so I'm not doing a whole lot this weekend. I'm just besides packing a suitcase and getting ready to come hang out with my mom and family down in the Spring Hill area for about a week. And
you better be contacting this guy right here because I still want to talk with you, man. I hope you have a great holiday, July. Thanks for coming in here. James Canada, host it. Tell us before I almost locked you out here with me giving you the sell-off, but tell them where they can find Big Game James.
Oh, man, Big Game James, Big Game Sports Buzz. You can follow me here. My Twitter handle is right there at JCan97 or at BG Sports Buzz. You can catch my show every Tuesday is the Sports Chop Shop. Every Thursday is Big Game Sports Buzz, and that is 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And right now, trying to work something out with Bucs Report also to a new show coming up called Big Game's Pewter Perspective.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Time out! Whoa, bury the lead. Go ahead, James. I'm kidding. Go ahead, brother.
So yeah, that's what I am, and we try to bring you great sports content. Big Game Sports Buzz. We bring you a little bit of everything: NFL, NBA, tennis, golf, things that affect the country, that we can try to use sports to help us heal and things like that. And I got a great co-host that I call the Buff Nerd, and we get on there and just try to entertain everybody, man.
Awesome.
And let me tell you something. I was talking about that at the top of the show. It's just like water cooler talk. It's not so much that I know more than him or she knows more than they or they. It's all it is a different perspectives,
Right.
and that's what it is. It's perspective. And when you if you're having a hard time remembering all that, you can find it here. Just rewind 10, 15 seconds. You'll get all the information. But follow James on. Can he follow you also on Facebook? Because that's where you share your YouTube shows the most. That's
yeah. On Facebook, y'all can go to the personal James Canada page or Big Game Sports Buzz. I have a Big Game Sports Buzz page on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I even did TikTok. I still don't even know how to work it, but I got a TikTok going now too.
I saw something on TikTok, and also they can like your YouTube page so they can get it all straight from YouTube, right?
Yes, sir. Go and on YouTube. It's Big Game Sports Buzz. Hey, and if you like it, hit that thumbs up and then go ahead and subscribe to it as well, so you can know every time that we drop brand new content. I really appreciate it.
Am I even getting it? I've been doing it like this all week, and I work with a bunch of 18-year-olds, and they're laughing at me.
I can't do the floss at all. And I look like the most uncoordinated black man on earth when I try to do that dance right there.
Hey, I'm right behind you as the most uncoordinated white guy. James, happy 4th of July. We'll see you when you're in town. Thanks for coming on today, brother.
Hey, man, appreciate having me, man. Johnny, good talking to you.
Johnny Dean. You hooked up with me, and then we hooked up with James Canada on a Sunday. That makes all, when I'm trying to explain to my wife in a couple of weeks why I did no housework on the weekends because I was down here at Krabby's on the Pass, automatically an easy explanation because we had some serious fun.
And on that note,
brother, you got any more comments? Well, maybe I can do this real quick. Oh, I won't do that. Johnny, you still there? Cut it out, Casper. We got any more comments before we get out of here? I know we had one or two in there. That was a great conversation with James. I don't know where I froze up, but so I thought I'd just finish that. Ooh, breeze. Can you see all the boats? Have you been able to see boats the entire time?
Yeah, I've been checking them out.
Yeah, it looks like the Coppertone Tan team's loaded now and on their boat. In fact, maybe they'll come by here. Wait till you see them.
Oh,
there's more flesh than the law would allow. But then again, it is a Ron DeSantis, Florida. I don't know where that line is drawn. Is it religious? Is it not religious? It's definitely not a woman's choice. I kid you. What do you got? Any more comments?
I haven't seen any lately.
And I say, I kid you. Was I really? Yeah, I got one right here. I didn't do this one. Of course, there's one of my guys, Andrew Faubert from North Sports Dynasty. Isn't this Cup of Ray? Why Johnny in the hot spot? I have no idea. Christopher Cole, brother. About 3 weeks till training camp. It's more like, well, today's July 3rd. They go back to 28th or the 26th. So we're talking 23. Yeah, it's 3 weeks. Christopher Cole's right. You froze up, Johnny?
No, I'm here.
All right, brother. Oh, yeah, Alex. Sorry, I covered from yesterday. Let me just real quick before I finish it, because there was one thought I had, again, going back to Greg Allman of The Athletic with the article today on some of the top matchups the Bucs have in 2022.
Hey, Ray, I'm gonna have to jump out, dude.
I got a quick question for you. Joe Mixon, James Conner, or Najee Harris? Which is the most dangerous running back? There you go. That's what I thought, brother. Thanks for joining me, JD. Talk to you soon. And I'll go. I'll take care of you. Come on. Do it. We both have control of the administrative rights. You can find Johnny Dean on Thursday nights on the NFL edition with Alex Schumber, Ben Cornett. Oh my God, everybody in there. I am getting so hot. I want to say thanks to Johnny Dean for joining me today. People over here wondering, who the heck's that guy talking to? This is a very small camera stand. You probably think I'm talking to a tiki hut. Great 4-hour show yesterday. There was 4 hours of show and maybe 3 minutes of content. If you haven't had a chance, check it out. And thanks for joining me here on a Sunday morning, July 3rd, on your July 4th weekend. Before I get out of here, got to pay a couple bills. Thanks to the staff at Ferg's, world famous Ferg's Bar and Grill, for hosting me yesterday for my 4-hour marathon. Thanks most out here right now to the Krabby's on the Pass, which is, I wish I could explain it to you. The deck goes about another 30 yards that way, and there's a tiki stage where the band does, when they have the full pull out here, which they will this weekend as a band there. Then behind me on the white stairs there, you really can't see it, but there's a second floor is a band stage. And then all the, out here, everything's so, I don't say socially distanced, but it really is, because you're outside and you're enjoying this beautiful pass, beautiful view of John's Pass, all the boats coming in and out, the bridge going up every, I am sweating like a dog. So, just talked about some of the Buccaneers' #1 matchups, and everybody's like, just shut up and get off the air. Please share the show. even here's the thing, because someone else is going to be watching this, like an infomercial on Wednesday night. It's going to come up on their phone for some reason because somebody liked it or shared it to some silly page, and they're going to see it and they're going to pop in there, and it's better than watching an infomercial where someone's trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to sell you all these beautiful locations in Tampa Bay. There might be a laugh, there might be a giggle, there might actually be a thought of what it was like to be on that Buccaneers 98 team that returned from Raymond James for that first home game in the brand new stadium with the Cannon, with the pirate ship, as James Canada shared his first week coming back. Bucs played 7 games on the road that year because, again, right, they played in we were excited because the Bucs are in the Hall of. It's always like our team's in the Hall of Fame game, and then you get to the Hall of Fame game, and it's it's the Hall of Fame game. But don't forget tonight's the USFL Championship. There, I guess it's probably on Fox. That's been where it's been all season, and then streamed across a couple other places. But thanks for James Canada from Big Game Sports Buzz and Johnny Dean from the NFL Edition for joining me here for a cup of Ray on a Sunday from down here at Krabby's on the Pass. There's 8 people watching. Well, on my one browser, there's 8, so I'm not going to go off the air until I get to 9. Come on, guys. Share the show one time. Get one more person that drunkenly stumbles upon this. There it is. Have a great day, everybody.